Have you thought that maybe your exhaustion is because you're out of God's purpose for you? I'm going to talk to you about what to do about that. Hi, I'm Wendy Gunn, and I, like you, have gone off out of God's purpose in the past. I've compared myself to others, tried to copy their lives, tried to be who I wasn't, tried to be who I wasn't created to be. Have you been stuck in that? Have you looked at others and thought, if I just copy her, I will be good. I'll be good enough. And we often try to take pieces of other people's lives, put them together in something that we can live out, thinking that that's somehow going to be the way to live. I want to encourage you to try different things that you would enjoy, that you think you're gifted in, and experiment in order to find out what your purpose is. When I was trying to figure out who I was and what God created me to do many years ago, I tried to copy and compare and compete. That didn't work. And I didn't accept that there were certain things that I loved doing and that were actually important. Sometimes we diminish our own gifts, our own talents, our own things that we love, that we're good at. We think, that's not anything special. And we look at somebody else's and we think, now that's special. I want to encourage you that God takes your nothing, whatever you think is nothing, and His Spirit makes it fruitful, makes it important, makes it what it is. He has created you for a special purpose in life, and He's given you people to interact with, people to influence. And just by living faithfully and having a relationship with Him, you are impacting others. You're impacting the world. I want to encourage you to go online and do those free gifts assessments. They don't cost a thing if you don't know what your spiritual gifts are. You've been given one at least if you are a believer in Jesus Christ, if you accepted Christ into your life, if you believed on the Lord, that His death on the cross and resurrection have saved you and you are trusting in Him, you have been, in exchange, you might say, given the Holy Spirit inside of you, and you've been given at least one spiritual gift. Now, you might have also natural talents and abilities, but God has given you something that you are good at, that you are gifted at, and then you can increase your abilities in that area. One of my gifts, spiritual gifts, is hospitality. When you use your gift, when you're in your purpose, you feel very fulfilled. You feel filled up yourself when you practice your spiritual gift. And that's the way it is with hospitality for me. But that doesn't mean that it's not a skill. It is. And so I have had to learn different things that help me to practice my spiritual gift and be better at it. Another area that I feel that God has gifted me in is helping you identify your purpose and fulfill it, to encourage you. I believe I've been given the gift of encouragement. That means that the more I do it, the better I probably am at it. But it doesn't mean that I'm always using my gift. There are times when I have gone ahead of God. If you are racing ahead of God, even when you're using your gift, might not producing fruit because you're ahead of God. I shared in a recent video about a story of a group from Africa who went with a person on a journey to help him along the way and carry his loads and such. etc. And the first day they went really fast, and the second day they just stopped. And the man who they were going with was really chomping at the bit to go and didn't understand why they stopped. And they said that they were allowing their souls to catch up with their bodies. This is one of the reasons that I believe that we feel exhausted at times. Because we're racing ahead, our souls need to catch up. And we have raced ahead of God. God will lead us. He will take us, and yes, sometimes we'll be very tired. But the exhaustion that you may feel when you're racing ahead of God is very different than the tiredness that you feel from just serving the Lord and doing His will. If you are doing things that are not, God didn't give them to you. They're not your purpose. If you've been saying yes, 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 yes to everything that anybody asked, and even volunteering for things that nobody asked you to do, and they're not God's purpose for you, you are going to feel exhausted. I've been there and done that. When you are in your purpose, you don't have a weight of guilt. When you do things that God has called you to do, and we do them in His power, His enabling, His energy, it's not exhausting. As I said before, it fills you up. You feel so fulfilled. If you have ever done something and you knew, that's who I am. If I could do that every single day of my life, how wonderful that would be. I can remember back, it gives me goosebumps, can remember back one of the earliest times that I mentored a younger woman and helped her. I felt so good afterwards. And I just thought, Lord, let me do that. Let me do that more, Lord. And that's how you will feel when you have found your purpose. So I encourage you, some of the ways that you'll know you have found your purpose, you will get feedback from others that really helped them, or feedback that's very positive. Secondly, you will feel filled up, joyful, and just, it's so good. And you will know that you've used your gifts, and it's just such a great sense of accomplishment, a sense of spiritual achievement. I hope that you will explore your gifts. I hope that you will do what God has purposed for you to do and avoid saying yes. You have to say no to things that aren't for you to do. They aren't God's purpose for you. And as you do that and you have the ability to say yes to things that are, you will find yourself less exhausted and more aligned with your purpose. This is Wendy Gunn.